All right, let's jump right in. We spend so much of our lives thinking about money, right? It feels like our most valuable asset. But what if we're all focused on the wrong currency? What if the ultimate non-renewable resource isn't what's in our bank account, but something we're spending every single second of every day?
I mean, that really hits home, doesn't it? It's like trying to describe water when you're swimming in it. Most of the time, we're just so deep in the day-to-day that we can't see the big picture. So for the next few minutes, let's try to do something we rarely do. Take a huge step back and look at our lives from a totally different angle.
So how do we get this new perspective? Well, it starts by completely reimagining how you measure your life. Forget years. That's way too abstract. We're going to make it tangible. We're going to break it down into individual weeks.
This incredible idea is from Tim Urban, and it's called the Life Calendar. Just picture a big grid. Each little box on this grid represents 1 week, and the whole grid shows every single week in a 90-year life. Suddenly, your entire potential lifespan is right there in front of you on a single page.
And this is where it gets, well, kind of intense. Because when you start filling in the boxes for the weeks you've already lived, you see what's left. The real gut punch for a lot of people is realizing that by the time you've left for college, you've probably already used up over 90% of the in-person time you'll ever have with your parents. It's a brutal thought, but it's a perspective that's absolutely necessary.
So why does a simple chart of boxes feel so jarring, so uncomfortable? Well, it turns out there's a deep psychological reason we actively avoid looking at the clock of our own lives. Let's dive into the psychology behind it.
Okay, so there's this concept from something called terror management theory. It's called mortality salience. It sounds fancy, but all it means is that nagging awareness deep in the back of our minds that our time here is limited. And that awareness creates this constant low-grade anxiety that, believe it or not, influences a ton of our decisions.
So how do we cope with this background anxiety? Well, psychologists say we have a two-part defense system. First, the easy one. We just distract ourselves. We scroll on our phones, we binge-watch shows, we work like crazy, anything to just not think about it. And second, we chase something called symbolic immortality. We try to become part of something that will outlive us, our family name, our country, our legacy at a company.
And this isn't just some abstract theory. It explains real-world weirdness. For years, economists have been scratching their heads over the annuity puzzle. On paper, an annuity is a great financial choice for retirement, yet almost nobody buys one. Why? Because the process forces you to confront your own mortality head-on. You literally have to place a bet on how long you think you're going to live. That immediately triggers our mortality salience, and our defense mechanism kicks in. Avoid, avoid, avoid. So we just don't make the decision.
So, this deep-seated avoidance of our own finiteness, it's not just a psychological quirk. It actually points to the most fundamental principle in all of economics, the one that underpins everything else.
We're always taught that economics is about how we handle scarce resources, but we always think that means money or oil or gold. Nope. The ultimate scarce resource, the one everything else is based on, is time. The real fundamental question of economics isn't how do you spend your money, it's how do you choose to spend your time. Every other financial decision is just a downstream effect of that.
And when you think about time as a commodity, it has some really unique properties. It gets used up at a constant, unstoppable rate. Every second you spend doing one thing is a second you can never get back to do another. It's a zero-sum game in your own life. And crucially, you can't borrow it from the future or save it up in a bank for later. Once a second is gone, it is gone forever.
This is the entire reason the concept of opportunity cost even exists. You remember that from Econ 101, right? The cost of doing anything is the value of the next best thing you gave up to do it. That whole idea is built on one simple truth. You can only be in one place at one time. The scarcity of time is what gives every choice its weight, its gravity.
Which leads to a really fascinating question. If time is truly our most precious and scarce resource, can we actually put a price on it? What is 1 second of human life worth?
Well, one of the biggest and most powerful corporations in the world actually tried to answer that very question. And their approach was, let's just say it was equal parts brilliant and terrifying.
So back around 2008, Google declared a code yellow. Now, a code yellow is a huge deal there. It's an all-hands-on-deck, drop-everything emergency. And the crisis that warranted this? Latency. Their products were just too slow, and they saw it as an existential threat.
Now, to get all their teams motivated to fix this, they created this internal market system. But the currency they traded wasn't dollars. It wasn't engineering hours. The unit of exchange they created, and I am not kidding,
was human lives.
And here's their cold, hard, and frankly beautiful calculation. They figured an average human life has about 2 billion seconds. So if your product has 100 million users and it wastes just 4 seconds of each person's time every day, well, you do the math. That adds up to over 100 human lifetimes worth of time wasted per year. To Google's engineers, wasting time wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a form of mass murder.
Wow, that's a heavy way to think about it. But let's flip it. Let's turn that idea on its head. Instead of thinking about time being taken from us, let's reframe our own remaining time as a form of incredible, unimaginable wealth.
This brings me to this amazing concept from an investor named Graham Duncan. He coined the term time billionaire. A time billionaire isn't someone with $1 billion. It's someone with 1 billion seconds left to live. It totally redefines what it means to be rich.
And the math on this is actually pretty simple and surprising. 1 million seconds, that's only about 11.5 days. But 1 billion seconds, that's just over 31.5 years. So think about that. If you are under the age of, say, 58, congratulations. You are, by this definition, a time billionaire. A 20-year-old? They are a time multi-billionaire.
Think of it this way. Would you trade places with Warren Buffett right now? You'd get all of his money, all of his fame, but you'd also have to be over 90 years old. Almost everyone says no to that deal in a heartbeat. Why? Because the 20-year-old has the one thing the dollar billionaire would trade everything for: more time, more life. That's the ability to be patient, to compound knowledge, and to take huge risks.
So what's the real advantage of thinking this way? Recognizing you're a time billionaire is like unlocking a superpower. It lets you switch your thinking from quarters to decades. You can make investments in your career, your relationships, your health that won't pay off for years. You can afford to fail and completely start over. That feeling of abundance, that huge runway of time, it's the ultimate emotional stabilizer.
But here is the one final, crucial difference. A dollar billionaire can leave their money behind. But the time billionaire? They always die with a zero balance. Every single one of us. You can't put your seconds in a will. You can't save them for someone else. You can only spend them. So the only question that really matters is, how are you going to invest the incredible, fleeting fortune you have right now?